Everybody, welcome back to the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. We are here live at Lowe's Hotel, the beautiful hotel in Arlington, Texas. I'm here with the owner of Hot Wrestling down in the Waco area, and they got a huge card coming up this weekend. It is a phenomenal card full of some of Texas' best wrestlers. So we're here to talk about it. Joining me today is Mr. Henry Witt. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Nice to finally meet you. And I've been hearing a lot about Hot and the work that you guys have been doing. It seems that you guys in Texas have your own little nook right there in Waco, and it's really been catching fire lately. But talk to me, how did Hot get started? What was the premise behind it? How did you get involved with it?
So Hot Pro Wrestling, in the very beginning, it was part of Texas Wrestling, and it wasn't as hot as it used to be, but Heart of Texas Wrestling came to my hometown of Mart, Texas, and I was actually the mayor of Mart.
Wow.
Or the mayor pro tem of Mart. I don't know if you know what a mayor pro tem is, but it's kind of like the vice president of the city.
Yep.
So I was the mayor pro tem, and they came in and they were having a show there, and I hit them up on Facebook because I've always been a wrestling fan, and I just said, hey, I just want to help make this successful. And they said, well, hey, maybe you could do like a guest announcer spot or something like that. So
right.
Came in and did that, and then I was in much better shape back then. And when they saw me, they said, well, maybe you could wrestle a match, and that's what we ended up doing. I said, hey, they said, do you think maybe you could get in the ring? And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to get hurt. So
right.
They trained me for a few months, and they came back to the city, and then I wrestled he was actually an MPX guy, Hooligan Ace.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had a match, and it was a good time. It was for my city council candidacy at the time, and anyway, I ended up losing it. I didn't run for city council as a result.
So would you say it actually worked out in your favor that you lost?
Yeah. I didn't like public service all that much anyway. But yeah, we had a really good time with it, and we drew about. I mean, it was one of the biggest crowds we ever drew, even to this day. It was about 500 people. So we had a really good time with it, and yeah, that's how I got involved. But I also was at that point. I was kind of involved in the backstage kind of part of it, and I saw how the business ran. And I thought maybe I might be able to do a better job, and after a few months I ended up buying it. So that's how it started, and that's how I got involved, and that's how we got here today.
So the business side of the wrestling is what drew you into it?
Yeah, I mean I've always been a huge wrestling fan since I was a kid. And then when I saw the way that it was they were doing business, I thought maybe I could do better.
Oh.
And that's when I decided to go ahead and purchase it.
Nice. So let's go back to the wrestling, right? Because you said you're a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah. How
How did you get into, what got you into wrestling?
When I was a kid, my great-grandfather was a huge wrestling fan, and he was a big influence on me back then when I was a kid, and I would always just watch wrestling with him. Whenever I was really small, I was probably 3 years old to 10. He ended up he passed away, but I was always a really big wrestling fan, WWF fan, and yeah, I mean I started out like with Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant at WrestleMania.
Hey, that for a lot of people, that's the launching point.
Yeah. That's where I kind of got into it, and then I kind of got out of it because I didn't have cable when I was a kid, so I couldn't really follow it that well. But then we ended up getting cable, and then about WrestleMania 5 is where I picked it back up. Hulk Hogan,
the Mega Powers.
Yeah, the Mega Powers.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's really when I got into it, and from that point on, I've watched wrestling. But yeah, I mean, being actually involved in the business part of the wrestling and being a promoter. It's a completely different game, rather than just being a fan. And so yeah, it's been really interesting. It's been fun, and yeah, we're drawing good crowds, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. You bring up an interesting point, the promoter aspect versus the fan aspect. What was the biggest change you would say from being a fan into now I own this business, I have to run it?
Well, being a fan, you always think that you're watching like the matches and the stories, and you think, why do they do it this way? And I could do it better.
Right. Everybody fantasy books.
Yeah. But when you actually get into it, it's interesting because whenever I got into it, I surrounded myself with people who actually knew the business. Like,
smart move.
Yeah, like Anthony Gundacker and Marcus Rose. Marcus Rose is our booker.
Yep.
And when I started, I would come to them with ideas. Maybe we could do this, or maybe we could do that, and they would kind of set me aside and go, "This is the reason we can't do this. This is why this doesn't make sense, or that doesn't make sense, or it wouldn't make sense for a heel to do this, or a face to do this, or that sort of thing." And so you think even watching it for years and years, you think that.
I'm smart. I can do it. Yeah.
Right. I can do this. I can do that. And then when you actually sit down and they had to school me. They schooled me up, and I think I'm at a point now where I'm not just a money mark anymore. I know a lot more about the business than I used to. As far as like ring psychology and match psychology, I don't really get too involved in that. But when it comes to the storylines, and where we're trying to go with those storylines and what we want to come out of those storylines, that's where I get involved more with the big picture.
Yeah.
Rather than the match-to-match psychology.
Nice. I like that because, again, as fans, we think we know everything about it, and then when you jump in it, it's a completely different story. So you're not the first person to say that. It's a completely different story once you jump in and you actually get your hands dirty, as they say. But yeah, so this weekend, actually before we get to this weekend, because it is a big card, talk to me about what you storyline wise, how do you approach that as it relates to Hot as its own entity? Because you guys are in your own little unique spot in Mexico. In Texas. I'm gonna edit that out. In Texas, you guys are in your own little spot, right? But that enables a lot of people to travel through. So how do you navigate the stories within Hot as it relates to people that may be traveling through?
Well, the first thing that I look at is how relatable is the character? How relatable is that wrestler to the crowd, and how are they getting over or not getting over?
Right.
Whenever we bring somebody in, there are a lot of wrestlers in Texas that we've used before who are really, they're super athletically gifted, but they're not necessarily getting over with their crowd. So we look at that and we evaluate it and see if we can work with it and whether or not it's going to sell tickets. One of the things that I think that, I don't know, I've got kind of a reputation of being somebody who really pays attention to the bottom line when it comes to the wrestling business. You've got to have somebody who's paying attention to the business side of the business.
Right.
And so I'm always looking for who can draw, who can sell tickets, and is the crowd reacting to that, that particular wrestler or not? So when you ask the question as, what is it that we kind of, I don't know what we're trying to accomplish, at the end of the day, we're trying to sell tickets.
Right.
So how's the crowd reacting? Will the crowd or the fans react to that person and buy tickets because of that person? And we also, for the wrestlers who, we got wrestlers, they've got fees associated with those wrestlers. Are they going to be able to cover that fee? If somebody's got a $50 fee, is somebody going to come in and buy a ticket because of that one person, and cover that $50 fee? So that's kind of what that's what I look at.
That's interesting. That's something I wouldn't think about. Like, as a fan, I wouldn't think about. But that's interesting that you bring that up. And the reason I ask is because you know, you see guys go back and forth across different promotions in Texas, right? Guys that you know, but it seems like the storylines and what they actually do kind of change depending on where they go. So how do you approach that? And it's interesting. That's an interesting answer because it's not something that I would think about.
Yeah. I mean, that's so coming at it because you were coming at it from a fan perspective,
Right.
Just like I did whenever I started. I was coming at it from the perspective of a fan, but now, you know, I've got to look at it as a business, you know, and a lot of I think independent wrestling promotions, the reason that you see a lot of them crop up and then go away or go out of business is because they're not paying attention to the bottom line. And that's really what I think. I'm not saying that no other promotions pay attention to the bottom line, but that's what sets apart, I think, the good promotions from the not so good promotions, or the promotions that you see that aren't running as consistently or they're going out of business. It's because they're not paying attention to the profitability of the business. And so that's, I mean, you really have to, you got to do that. You can't fantasy book a show. You can't just book a show just because you like a guy. You got to pay attention to the way that the crowd's reacting to them and whether or not they're going to draw money.
Right.
So.
Right. Two very big things that you just said. How the crowd reacts, and that leads me to this weekend, right? Because there's matches up and down this card that you put together that are phenomenal, right? And this card in particular, my co-host JJ was like, "Bro, we have to go to this show. Like, we have to." And the more he kept showing me, the more I was like, he had to show me the dog collar match, and I'm like, I'm in, right? I'm in. Like, let's go. But from that, I'm going to ask you as a promoter, what match are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Probably the dog collar match. You know, it's Ken Carter. He's a hometown hero.
Yep.
You know, we've built him up for the past, you know, probably 2-3 years. He beat Rick Savage for the title, and then immediately, two shows later, 2 months later, lost that belt to Matt Locke. And Matt Locke, he was voted the most hated wrestler in pro wrestling for a reason.
I know.
Hates this guy. And I mean, to have the hometown hero Ken Carter coming in there to
get his revenge,
going against Matt Locke, I think it's huge. Not only is this a dog collar match, though, it's a title versus career match. So if Matt Locke beats Kane Carter, he won't wrestle in hot anymore.
Wow.
And, you know, there is a backstory to that, too, that a lot of people may not know about. You know, Kane Carter is talking about moving to Kansas. So, you know, if he ends up going to Kansas, will he even be able to wrestle in hot anymore? So that's kind of where that's where that's going. And I think that's probably that's the first dark collar match Hot's ever had. It's always a brutal contest. Anytime you put dog collars on people and you connect them with a chain. I mean, and hey, you know what? I bought this chain the other day, and it's heavy. You know, it's like a 50-pound chain. It's not anything that's.
And people are going to be wearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Around their necks, and I think it's going to be a fun match, but it's going to be a brutal match, and I think, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of that one.
Most definitely. And like I said, it's called Wrestle Bowl, right?
Wrestle Bowl.
Yeah.
Wrestle Bowl 5.
Yeah. And
so we've done this for 5 years straight now, and it's a fundraiser for local scholarships for kids. And
you just answered the question I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the premise behind that? Just making it something you give back to the community, or? So
my family, my dad is from Axtell, Texas. He grew up in Axtell. He went to Axtell ISD. Most of my family is from Axtell. I'm from Mart.
Right.
We're having a show next month.
Right.
I went to school in Mart, but we lived in Axtell for a long time, and so this is for the fundraisers are in the name, or the scholarships are in the names of my uncle, who he was a police officer who died of COVID.
Oh wow!
Back in 2020.
Condolences.
Yeah, when that was a big deal, and so the Ricky Roberts Memorial Scholarship. That's my uncle, and then the Henry Witt Senior Memorial Scholarship is my grandfather, and that goes to, he was big into farming, so that
Right.
goes to an FFA student or a kid who is big into agriculture. So yeah, so those are the two scholarships that we're raising money for.
Love it. Love it. So, yeah, big show this weekend. Beyond that, do you see a point to where you run more often? I know you run monthly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a point to where you could get this promotion to run, say, on a weekly basis?
Well, I got a real job. I mean, not that wrestling isn't fun and everything, and that we are making money off of it. But yeah, I've got a shoot job, as they say in the business. So I've got I'm actually a business development. I'm the business development director for Texas for an engineering and architecture firm. That's actually why I'm able to come here today, because I was in Arlington.
Listen, this is a nice hotel, and if you're in here
for a rural water conference, so that's what I'm here for today. But yeah, I got a real job. So being able to run weekly is a completely different business model, and it would be really difficult to do that. But we have talked about maybe doing multiple shows a month, or doing them in, we are doing shows now in different locations. We're
Right.
not just running in one static location anymore.
Right,
So-
and that was going to be like, if you do that, will you commit to one location? But it seems like the model you have is working for you.
Yeah,
right now.
so we did, and we've done it a lot of different ways. Like and in the very beginning when I took over, we were kind of bouncing around trying to figure out what market we wanted to run in. We did a show at MPX actually at one point, in Bedford, and then we went to Houston. We ran in Austin for a long time. That market got a little bit more saturated than we wanted it
Right.
to, and that's whenever we decided just to hop on over to Waco. And the funny thing is that Gunn and Marcus told me from the very beginning that we should just run in Waco consistently. But I want to check out all these other markets, and we did that, and we did well with those shows. But the being able to run consistently in like one area has been really good for us, and the Waco area has been good for us. And even though we're running in kind of some more rural areas, like right now we're doing Axtell, but Axtell is one of the biggest shows of the year. Wrestle Bowl is one of the biggest shows of the year that we have, and we've been doing that now for 5 years in a row. And that show, it usually draws over 200-300 people, so it's doing really well, and it has done well. And I think that this show will be a good one as well.
Nice. Well, I mean, I got nothing else, man. This was a great first interview. I would love to have you back on. I know we'll be there this weekend at Wrestle Bowl, so
Yeah, what we had talked about earlier, if you want to do a pre-show,
I'm down.
we'll
I'm down.
We'll set y'all up a corner of the gymnasium, and we'll put a backdrop behind y'all and let you go for it.
Definitely down.
A couple hours before the show. Yeah, run down the card. Maybe we can get some more people in the door.
Absolutely. I'm going to pump this out immediately. So let's do it. But thank you so much for your time, sir. It's a definite pleasure to have you on, and looking forward to working with you guys again.
All right, great.
All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.